Lord of the Mysteries. Chapter 468. The Moon. For a moment, Emlyn White was stiff and his mind was blank, like a marble statue sitting there. Then, he heard the figure leisurely sitting in the thick gray fog indifferently ask, "Why did you pray to me?" Emlyn's mind buzzed and he blurted out, "It's a revelation from my ancestor. She told us through a dream that the apocalypse is approaching and that we need to make preparations. And I am key in this matter. My mission was to pray to the Fool." Hearing the undisguised and detailed response, Klein, who had prepared his answers, was at quite a loss on where to begin. This vampire, Emlyn White, had explained everything he wanted to know. A revelation from the ancestor. Didn't the ancient goddess Lilith perish in the second epoch, long before the cataclysm, and have her authority taken back by the Creator? It was precisely because of this that quite a number of vampires tried to pray to the primordial moon, resulting in an extremely tragic outcome. Moreover, Mr. Dorr had also mentioned that the moon card is empty, indicating that, on the one hand, the primordial moon is most likely the embodiment of some other deity or powerful devil, while on the other hand, it indirectly proves that the ancient goddess Lilith has lost her sequence 0 position, which is generally equivalent to dying. Klein instantly connected the dots. He originally imagined that Lilith, who responded to the sanguine's prayers on particular matters, was a relic from the ancient goddess, such as the uniqueness of the moon pathway. Thus, it would be rigid, passive, and extremely restrictive, but now, its initiative of providing a revelation had overturned his guess. Two possibilities. One is that Lilith is being impersonated by another deity who has occupied a key point ahead of time, preventing any opponents from reaching sequence 0 of the moon's pathway. In essence, the entity doesn't care about the sanguine, and the provided revelation is a kind of test. The greatest suspect is the goddess who had snatched the title of Lady of Crimson, but she's already sequence 0, corresponding to the star in the cards of blasphemy. Why would she covet the moon? Is it to foil the plans of her enemy? The second possibility is that the ancient goddess hasn't fully perished. As long as no other powerhouse has become sequence 0 in the moon pathway, she is able to use a unique and incomprehensible method to continue surviving, waiting for a chance to make her return, just like the Dark Emperor card's description. And perhaps the goddess had taken the title of Lady of Crimson to foil this situation to a certain extent. Going by this logic, Lilith's recent apocalyptic revelation is her struggle to revive after years of preparation. And the Fool plays a key role in her revelation. If that's true, then in a certain way, it's an invitation for cooperation. But I'm just a sequence 6 beyonder, so how am I to cooperate with a yet-to-disappear ancient goddess? Let Emlyn White join the Tarot Club? The Sanguine are a race with a long lifespan. They have existed since the second epoch and must know quite a number of secrets. However, that would be me taking quite a risk. Yes, it would be possible to divine whether or not to pull Emlyn into each gathering ahead of time. Yes, there was a similar apocalyptic prophecy in the sights in the spirit world from Yellow Light Venethan. He also pointed out that the Abraham family's curse would be removed by an apprentice who has the help of a hidden existence. This matches Miss Magician's present stage. She is an apprentice who has received the help of me, the Fool. That's rather interesting. Has every high-level being that's good at prophecies realized that the apocalypse is unavoidable and have seen the Fool's existence and his possible effects? One thought after another flashed through Klein's mind, but his expression didn't change at all. He leaned back in his chair and smiled leisurely. "What did your ancestor ask you to pray to me for?" The calm voice pulled Emlyn out of his stupor, and he shook his head in a slightly dazed manner. "I don't know." At this moment, Klein saw the stars behind Emlyn's chair shift quickly, turning into the symbol of the crimson moon. As expected, the beyonder pathway of the descendants of the ancient goddess, Lilith, points towards the moon. Klein chuckled and said, "In a situation with the 7 orthodox gods and so many secret existences, why would your ancestor think that I would be the key to the apocalypse?" The Fool's attitude finally made Emlyn White calm down, realizing that he had encountered an incredible event. He had been forcefully pulled into a magical place by a hidden existence. He is the fool. He isn't actually angry. Is it because I represent the ancestor? I, Emlyn White, am indeed special. I was mentioned by the ancestor, and I received a response from the fool. With this in mind, Emlyn couldn't help but sit up straighter before saying in deliberation, Honorable Mr. Fool, the revelation provided by the ancestor is this. I, Emlyn White, will become the key in saving the sanguine and clinching victory against the apocalypse. And all of this will begin from my praying to you. The meaning behind his words was, the key to the apocalypse isn't you, but me. This fellow has such a 8th grader syndrome. One sighed to him. That's right. He has always been very arrogant and feels self-important. Klein lampooned silently with a popular phrase from the past. Amused, he said, the same question, why me and not the 7 orthodox gods or the other hidden entities? I don't know. Emlyn shook his head honestly. Klein thought for a moment, then he deliberately said, Actually, I think I understand your ancestor's intentions. She wishes that, with my help, you're able to grow into a true high-level entity and save the sanguine when the apocalypse happens. Grow? Emlyn said in puzzlement. As you know, us sanguine have no way of growing on our own. Only through special ceremonies will we gain the bestowment of our elders and relics of the ancestor that allow our advancement. Indeed, it has to be in accordance with the law of beyonder characteristics. Conservation. In other words, there have to be other ways as long as the basic law is abided to. Klein chuckled. Your knowledge has blinded you, making you unable to see the wider world. Of course, this question will not be answered by me. The answer must be found by you. I will only provide you with an opportunity. He paused for a second, then he said in a condescending manner, Do you wish for such an opportunity? Without any hesitation, Emlyn got up and bowed. That is what I wish for. Where did your arrogance go when facing a hidden existence? Why is there only humility? Klein secretly lampooned as he tapped the edge of the mottled long table and said, But you have to adhere to certain matters. Please speak. Emlyn held back his excitement. Klein smiled and replied, You cannot reveal anything related to me to anyone unless you gain my permission. This includes the sanguine who were previously present at the ritual. But Emlyn was somewhat unable to accept the request. Klein asked warmly in a very certain manner, It's likely that Lilith didn't get you to report to anyone afterward? This could be inferred from the fact that there was no prayer content in the revelation. He directly called the ancestor by her name. It sounds like they're old friends. Emlyn's heart trembled. He lowered his head and replied, No. Klein said with an unperturbed smile, This is a secret deal, which is why I responded after you were free from surveillance. Similarly, you don't need to report this to Lilith as it will let certain people notice it. Seeing Emlyn nod in understanding, Klein added, If you want to be the key to saving the sanguine, you must suffer the pain of the corresponding thorns. For example, you will not be understood by others, be slandered, and looked down upon. You can only silently proceed forward in the darkness while being burdened by your heavy mission. The words that were aimed at him made Emlyn White imagine a corresponding scenario. He, who was always mocked by his kinsmen because of his fondness of dolls, had gotten lost and entered the Harvest Church. Stained with traces of shame, he, who had never been valued and thought highly of by his elders, would silently guard his race from the corner, protecting everyone without anyone knowing. Very soon Emlyn, who had moved himself, respectfully replied, Your will pass through the earth. Klein leaned back and said very lightly, I tacitly consented to the establishment of a secret gathering, and it is held right here. Are you willing to join this gathering and search for the method to become powerful to save the sanguine? I am. Emlyn replied without any hesitation. Klein nodded in satisfaction. Do you have any other requests? Emlyn was overjoyed. He said in a hurry, Honorable Mr. Fool, I would like you to help me dispel the psychological cue in me. A bishop of the Church of Earth Mother, I know. Klein calmly interrupted him. He knows. As expected of a hidden existence. Emlyn's head lowered again. Klein let out a soft chuckle. I can help you, but what price are you willing to pay for this? Above the gray fog, he had a very potent spirit vision, and he had previously discovered that the dark-colored psychological cue within Emlyn White's spirit body had at some point mostly dissipated, thinning out to the point of frailty. Klein had intended to resolve the problem by referring to the ritual used to resolve similar problems in the Book of Secrets. But the situation now led him to believe that a secret deed ritual with the Dark Emperor card and the purification of the Sun brooch would thoroughly disperse Emlyn White's psychological cue. Price? Emlyn thought about it for a moment, but he couldn't think of anything that would interest a secret existence like the Fool. Seeing this, Klein took the initiative to say, I'm very interested in some of your sanguine history. You can use that in exchange. The sanguine's history? After a moment's thought, Emlyn agreed. You can think about what you would like to describe first. Heh. Before that, you need to choose a code name from them. Klein conjured the unselected Major Arcana tarot cards on the surface of the long bronze table. Emlyn White scrutinized the cards with interest and said, The Moon. I choose the Moon card.